Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Regal Live Series. As we wait for our guest to join, because he is still stuck in the meeting, he has informed us he will join us soon. So I'll quickly introduce as soon as Arvind joins us. Regal Live Series is a weekly live series that aims to enable coaches to build a prosperous coaching business by becoming the best coaches that they can be. Regal Unlimited is a leadership development company that has over a decade of excellence in disrupting leadership development through coaching and coach training. In this edition of the Regal Life series, we have Arvind Nachaya with us. Arvind has 2 decades of corporate experience and 5 years as an entrepreneur. He led the commercial banking business with leading banks that include ICICI, Citi, and HSBC in the capacity of director and business head. He is, among many things, an executive coach, a management consultant, business risk and strategy, and advisor and mentor to SME promoters and startup founders. His coaching philosophy is growth hacker, tapping into the inherent and unique capacity of people for exponential growth in what they value the most. Philosophy is growth hacker, tapping into the inherent and unique capacity of people for exponential growth in what they value the most. And this last bit is inspirational. In addition to his professional work, he is also a keen agriculturist managing a small farm. The topic for today is the impact of Coaching Unlimited. As we are live today, the fifth edition of Coaching Unlimited is underway. So, without further ado, Arvind, I would invite you to reflect on your Coaching Unlimited journey and its impact.
Oh, thank you, Anirud. Thank you so much, and thank you all for coming in. Any idea how many people are live today?
Oh, yeah, it's yet to reflect on it.
Okay, wonderful. But let's start on this. I think one of the reasons why I chose to uh, attend the program um, is fundamentally from three perspectives, right? One is my own responsibility as a coach. We go through life and coaching in a certain set ways, and we form certain ideas and thought processes that work in certain situations, and sometimes lapse into certain default ways of thinking, ways of being, ways of coaching, and presume that's the right way. Right. And in many ways, for me, it was a journey to reflect back and being responsible to reset my own thinking, my own ways of considering how I coach, what are the defaults, what are my biases, what are some of the things, I would use the word bad habits, that I built up along the way. What are some of the things that really work for me, and how can I leverage that more? It was more from that mindset that I took up that program. Also, meeting people, learning through exchange of ideas, thoughts, and views. And I think the last piece was learning a different way from the experiences of fellow coaches, challenging ourselves, thinking about issues and thinking about coaching topics, thinking about ways of thinking, and challenging ourselves, being a critique of our own thinking, not criticizing, but being a critique, so that we are able to expand the way we coach, way we understand how other people perceive us, perceive the way we think, or the way we come to these coaching engagements. I think these were three of the fundamental pillars uh, which were important to me when I took up this journey. And what happened when I walked out of this whole program was I added a few more things, right? What got added was really, how do I think of myself as a coach? What is it that I am offering to clients? what is my own capacity and capability that clients would value, right? His own understanding myself as a person and as a coach, right? Building that, I mean, you may call it niche, but more to understand who am I as a coach. When I before I went into this program, I I was an ICF coach, right? Anybody who I could get my hands on was coached, right? It didn't really matter, right? But I think during this whole program, learning from my fellow colleagues, learning from Subhash, PK, John, all of them, was really to learn about myself. It was a lot of reflection, lot of introspection, lot of the conversations were learnt in the silence in between the coaching conversation, in between the coaching sessions, right? And really thinking deeply about who I am as a coach, what can I bring to the table, what would my client value and take away from, right? So that led me in another journey. So it started off in self-reflection, learning from other people, and also added to it was learning about myself and as a coach and the brand that I can bring to the table. So that took me on another path after the coaching journey, is to really articulate my coaching, if I may arrogantly use this word, coaching brand, right? As to how do I craft my brand value, my brand positioning, my who am I as a coach, uh, and so on and so forth. So really clear and really being very thoughtful, mindful about how it reflects me as a coach, right? So I'm going to keep quiet right now and check in with me. Is check in with you if you have any questions for me. Or
No, I don't want to interrupt the flow, Arvind. It's going brilliantly. So please continue.
awesome. So in that space, I figured out that there are certain things that I truly enjoy. There are certain um, segments that I love working with, that I thrive in. Given my background, uh, given there was something uh, something that somebody told me is how do my clients get value from me? What is the value that I can give my client, right? And that's truly the value that I can put onto the table, right? So there was that. So it really led me to this journey of articulating, defining, being thoughtful, being clear about where is the largest value that a client can gain and I can add to bring about change. And we talked about this whole piece of exponential growth, right? And I think in many of our conversations with our mentors and with our colleagues, a lot of those thoughts were consolidated, and that led me to a path which was difficult in many ways, because I decided to say no to a certain set of businesses, a certain set of opportunities, because I truly believed it was not in the direction that I wanted it to be. But it also was pushing me and challenging me in many ways, of being disciplined, of being resilient, of being committed to ensure that the the something that I wanted to achieve was focused on, right? The kind of segment that I wanted to work in, the clientele I hoped to work with, all of those pieces. Actually, I had to force myself to be disciplined in staying that path. And once I had clarity in my mind as to what was it, where I wanted to be, that was easier for me to then stay in that path. Otherwise, when before coming to this program and many ways of me formulating all of this, as I led myself in a particular path, I chose to meander here and there once in a way. And what happened was that I was different things to different clients. So I was a different coach to a different client, and another client who would explain about me and my capacity would explain it in a different context, and that actually is something that was not getting me to where I wanted to be. So today my clients are very clear. I'm very clear, and that's helped me to explore this space with more energy, with more success in some ways, if you may, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to stop here and check in with you. Any questions? Anything that you have for me?
So, Arvind, thank you for briefly touching upon so wonderfully on all the three elements of Coaching Unlimited. So, the question I have on the top of my mind is a lot of what we see superficially of what Coaching Unlimited offers are very obvious things: coaching, branding, and business. Now, you yourself come from, with a solid corporate experience, and since you are, if I'm not wrong, from Coorg, I know some of my Coorgi friends are the most enterprising people. So I would say business is also there in the blood, right? So, in spite of that, what nudged you to opt for signing up for one of the Coaching Unlimited editions?
So, th- like I said, one part of it was to go back, because the it had been about, my sense, about 3 years or 2.5 years thereabouts since I did any formal um, coaching environment. Of while we do modules, learning sessions and all of that, but an immersive coaching with a senior mentor coach who was about 2.5 3 years prior to that, right? um, and then jumped into coaching, and you do a lot of the stuff that we do. Uh, so it was important for me to then just take a step back to look at how I've grown as a coach. Uh, what are the new areas of, or what are the habits that I've built? Is that in line with how I should be as a coach? Uh, and are there any habits that I built over the years that are preventing me from allowing the client to be more fulfilling in their own goals? Um, and and uh, so so that was one of the reasons which which I decided that I need to take a step back. It's in many ways taking a step back, relearning, unlearning, or rather unlearning and then relearning and then resetting, uh, and then being more inspired by fellow coaches who are doing a lot of other stuff, and it's in many ways getting that josh back, right? Because you go up, you do a lot of work, then plateau for a while. This was in many ways to reignite that josh, and to scale up. uh, yeah. And I think even the ICF had changed their, a lot of the their own coaching elements, right? So
Competencies.
the competencies were changed, they were all edited, and so it was also relearning, understanding the nuances. But I think more important also is in many ways understanding the nuances, interpretation, our own interpretation. Sometimes because of our experiences, we tend to build our own interpretation of some of these competencies. So going back, re-looking at it, reconsidering, challenging each other, having these open conversations, and then settling down on what it really means So all of that was some of the reasons why I chose.
Thank you for that, Arvind. And you had also mentioned, even before we connected for today's conversation, that you got greater clarity about your niche. So, before Coaching Unlimited and after Coaching Unlimited, since you already had an idea of what a niche should be, if you are free to share what shifted and what did the niche emerge for you?
So when I broadly knew that I wanted to be in the executives coaching space,
Hmm.
right? But that was my general view. So anything that got to do with executive coaching, I would work on, right? Irrespective of company, irrespective of levels, irrespective of what, it could be career coaching, it could be, challenges with leadership or team coaching, so on and so forth. So for me, it was executive coaching, and everything under that umbrella was a laundry list, right? Um which in many of the pitches that I went to corporates, I found it very hard to articulate what is the value that a certain level of because in the executive space there are certain levels and expectations from each level. So I was struggling to articulate what is the value that I bring at a certain level, right? uh, and I think I got some deals because I came from an industry which I knew a lot of corporates. So I got into coaching because of my association. That people know of me and so on and so forth. But in a standalone piece where I was invited, where nobody knew who I am or what I stood for, I struggled to even articulate in three sentences what I represent as a coach.
Hmm.
So I think this whole program allowed me to reflect upon what what is my brand positioning, what is the uh, brand value, what is it that I can bring to bear to a client, and what can they be supported with, and then crafting that whole message, right? So I think I was in it was a very very broad based articulation,
Hmm.
but post which I was very clear about exactly what I want to do, how I would communicate what I am, and what is the value and what's the proposition. Uh, so that helped even gain clarity for HR leaders or even business leaders as we went through one-on-one sessions with clients, as to uh, these sessions where you do a session with a senior leader to for the senior leader to decide whether me as a coach would be appropriate uh, to support that leader. This really helped me to consolidate my thinking, to articulate who I am as a coach, and what is it that they could be supported on, right? And that helped me really convey that message and allow that client to feel comfortable enough to trust in my capability and capacity to support them, because eventually we are dealing with somebody who wants to move forward,
Hmm.
and we need to be very clear that we bear that responsibility as a coach, and we have to be careful that if we are not able to help and support that client, we are actually not being fair to them, irrespective of the corporate and so on and so forth. So unless we are very clear about what our competency and capabilities are, and what exactly we can offer to those clients, then you get that true marriage. So today, I work with Fortune 100 names across the globe. I've been very fortunate as of this month to work with clients across every continent except Antarctica, but almost every continent. Um, um, and in sometimes I've even surprised myself with the kind of client base that that came to me. We were talking about one such case situation, right?
Right.
It has really allowed me to express myself, express who I am as a coach much more confidently to people, and they are also very clear about why they should take me as a coach. I think that's much more important. Not just you saying who you are as a coach, but for the client to really understand deeply why me as a coach for them.
So, Arvind, we are little over time. So,
Yeah,
quickly,
no,
if I just,
I
I
was
would just
watching.
like you to quickly reflect on. I remember that we had discussed how you had switched your proportion of income between coaching and consulting, which
Yeah,
was what you were focusing at. If you could quickly reflect on that.
I'll take a quick minute. So I was at 80-20. 80% was my consulting income and 20% was my coaching income. Today it's the other way around, where 80% is my coaching income, and 20%, even from my time allocation, 80% of my time I spend coaching. Uh, that's really come through a very focused effort in putting myself out there, being clear about what I want, willing to say no to something that was not reflective of me as a coach or the client as whom I can support, and being resilient in terms of day in and day out. One of the things that we need to understand, uh, that it is our business, and if it is our business, it's our responsibility to go out there, right? I have almost for 25 emails a day without any response for 2 years, right? So I've spent 300 plus days with 20 email messages soliciting business, which was unlike me as a corporate leader who people used to call me and invite me. So the ability to be humble enough to say, and talk to anybody to get you. I think one of the bigger pieces that helped me in is networking with other coaches across. So one of the pieces that helped me was to be a part of a lot of these interactions, chit chat on the side with other coaches, post the conversations, reach out to them. A lot of the engagements that I got were with clients who picked up a big engagement, reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you partner me with this? Because I've got a couple of deals, leaders, very senior. I can't do it on my own. Can you work with me?" A lot of that helped me to really expand, explode, reach out to a larger client segment. I think that is something that coaches don't recognize, that using these forums of learning to network with other people and then post the learning experience, reach out to them, and really present yourself to them, and hope that you're able to connect with those coaches, and if you have something, call them in. If they have something, I think that really helped me to explode my business.
So, thank you, Arvind, for being part of our conversation today. We look forward to hosting you again very soon. And
Yep.
dear viewers, I'm sure you'll find value with what Arvind has had to share today. And I would request him that in case you have any questions and if you would like to key it in the post, Arvind would take some time out. I would request him to answer the questions if it is feasible. So until next time, see you next week on Thursday, 9 p.m. IST. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye bye.